She loves to watch. She loves to watch.
My kids used to get so
Are we
scared
on?
of those things.
Are we on, really?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Art Fein. Welcome to the Last Poker Party. Well prepared as usual. I was just reading Little Richard's song lyrics. You might want to know this, by the way. I slaved for you, baby, and gave you such a wonderful start. I never knew that's what they were saying. I slaved for you, baby?
Is that Lucille?
Yeah. I never knew that.
Now, wait a minute.
I think
probably
whenever
doesn't-
Dave Stewart comes to bat at the bar games.
Does it say there, jump back into alley?
Yeah, let me check that. I'll take a look.
In
while
D
I-
alley?
Let me look at this while I introduce you guys. First time in, Mr. Eric Bordner. Welcome, Eric.
Bordner.
Steve Bordner's the place
You'll
on
be Wentman.
Bordner's the place on Cherokee that's
Yeah,
a
Steve
baseball
Bordner.
place.
Yeah, it
You know the
is.
place?
Yeah.
I may change my name if it works. Eric Bordner. I'll go with Boardman. It's been working up till now.
Okay.
Anyway, Art,
A man who needs no introduction.
But
Eric Boardman, star of stage, screen, and TV.
it's a gas to be here. I mean, having grown up with a large poker party, to finally be on, to me is a thrill.
Change the lower third when you get a chance, please. Next to him, Hudson Marquez. Hudson,
hi, Art.
good to see you. I haven't seen you on TV too much except for cable. I want to tell you,
I'm an access kind of guy.
Yeah.
So the only place you're going to catch me.
Hudson's got many claims to fame, but I got to show you this. This is called for a, what do you call it? A extreme close-up. What is the word?
ECU.
ECU. Now here comes what. Now you see this? This is the Cadillac. Oh, I'm sorry. The Cadillac Ranch.
Yeah.
In Central Texas. Where is it anyway?
And outside.
Cadillac Farm wouldn't have made it, would it?
No. That would have been like growing, but when you think of like Amarillo, which is where it is, you think of like the Bush kind of, okay, ranch.
So-
Farm is like, Sissy Spacek or something. Ranch.
So Hudson's one of the guys. This was done by a group of artists called the Ant Farm in 1970 or thereabouts, right? 1974.
Long time ago. I'm still trading on it right here on Access.
Riding that as far as you can.
And this is the curl.
6 guys drove cars into pits, and he was one of them. I mean, he was real good. They couldn't get many people that wanted to do that, and he volunteered.
Well, it's sad. I think that's been defaced. I mean, if you've been out there recently, there's graffiti all over it. I mean, here's a national shrine.
It looks good. I like it like that.
Oh.
It looks great.
Before we start talking, let me introduce George Wendt real fast. George, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Nice
good
to have
be
you.
here.
And we have a subtext to this show, which the subtext is Chicago, because Eric, George, and I all have lived there at different times of our lives. We all grew up there, actually.
I know
What's
people.
Hudson doing on this show?
No, I know people from Chicago.
And
I know them
Hudson's
personally.
met someone from
And you bought a Chicago album, didn't you once?
The one with the Hershey bar on the cover, yeah.
So we're going to play cards and talk about contemporary social issues. You guys want to play cards?
I want to talk about Lucille. No,
No.
I was
Okay,
about
let's
to
talk
tell you
about
this.
Lucille.
Whenever Dave Stewart comes to bat,
Yeah.
I think the house organist should play Lucille.
Now, why is that?
Don't you remember when Dave Stewart got nailed for in a back alley downtown for having sex in
with a
public?
transvestite?
Turned out it's a transvestite
right.
called Lucille.
Well, he got rid of that. That's under the rug, isn't it?
And then he got
Oh,
to
well, he's good. He's good, and he also is like huge and knows karate. So that kind of went by the ways. Did you see him deck Pat Corrales or something?
No.
Just completely
I thought you were
knocked
talking
him
about
down.
Dave Stewart, the rock star from
Yeah.
the Eurythmics.
Oh,
It's almost as
different reference
ubiquitous. Yeah, okay.
Okay. No. Dave
Sports
Stewart's
talk.
the,
Sports
yeah.
talk gets by
I
me.
know the
what-
Dave
what-
Stewart.
I know Dave Stewart's in the Eurythmics. I don't know.
No,
Dave
there's a
Stewart, Texas
ball
Rangers,
player.
Yeah.
But
Dave
who's
Stewart.
out Eurythmics? It's just Eurythmics.
Oh, it's just
That's right.
Eurythmics?
Was it Cream or The Cream? I never knew.
Is it Le Mondrian or the Le Mondrian? I can't figure
I saw
that
a
one
That's
out.
Ray Don Don.
Yes.
I saw a place in the valley. They had new Nouvelle Cuisine. I said, well,
Yeah.
I like the old Nouvelle Cuisine myself.
There's a Stutterer's restaurant, a Stutterer's hotel.
Oh, wait a second. I mean, a friend of mine takes pictures of signs that used to be something else. A lot of restaurants called Pennies. They used to be Denny's. They
Yeah.
only changed one
Yeah.
letter, And there's like Ghoul or like Gulf stations where they changed the last one or something.
Right down the street. Vaughn's became Ron's.
Oh, yeah.
And the Players Motel became Plazars.
Yeah, nice change.
Yeah.
So there's a place in the valley, the Swing, actually. But it had, now what I liked about the place is it had a sign that said patio dining. Now, they paid for that sign. I have that sign. I paid, a couple $100 for that sign. They don't have patio dining anymore. So now it says no on top and any more underneath. So it's like they paid for the sign. They have to have it. So
No patio
dining
dining
anymore.
is one of their features. So you guys are talking sports, which I didn't know you were going to do that. I was once on a game show when they put me on with 2 women just because I know so little about sports. Now you guys are talking about Dave Stewart. Anything after Ernie Banks, I don't know. Like 59, I stopped watching.
Ernie who?
He's in the Cubs. You
The
weren't-
Chicago team, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you're a North Sider. We'll get into that later.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Oh, that's a big division in Chicago.
Big division.
George is a South Sider. I'm a North Sider. So hence I'm a Cubs fan by
You're a
birth.
suburbanite. Get out of here. Anyway.
Yeah.
That from
guy
the real
Chicago.
city?
Nah.
You're a suburbanite.
No, it's good. We have the that's, greater Chicagoland is represented.
Yeah, Morgan Park where you lived was real urban, right?
It's called Beverly Hills, thank you.
Oh, he's from Beverly Hills, which is about 100th and Western, so I'm told. Deep South Side.
95th and Western.
Beverly Hills, Illinois. Well, actually,
No, it's actually
I mean, Chicago. Beverly Hills
It's
is
just a
the
neighborhood. They call it Beverly Hills, which just gets a hoot out here.
There was an article in the LA Times about a year ago about a black guy who talked about liking the Cubs, being from Chicago, liking the Cubs, but never going to Cubs Field. And your premise when you look at it was like, South Side people went to the South Side, and the North Side people went to the North Side one. And he said, no, if I might get beat up if I go to the North Side one. And I never thought of that. I mean, you think it was like a matter of, oh, it's convenient, it's in the neighborhood, but actually a lot of the black people apparently wouldn't come to Wrigley Field.
Well, it's a very racist city. I mean, you cross one street and you're in the wrong neighborhood and you're asking for it.
Well, I don't want to get serious here, but when I see signs of people, Chicagoans against apartheid, it just cracks me up. I mean, like, let's go to South Africa and tell them a thing or two when it's the most stratified city I've
I
ever
was just
seen.
there, and there was I couldn't believe it. I thought it was, some other decade or something. They just were, Nazis were in Marquette Park again. It's
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an annual rites
Just
of,
last
it's a
weekend.
rites of spring there.
It's so weird.
Of course, we've never lived in, let's say, Cleveland. Maybe it's like that there, but I know Chicago's pretty
Seems a
gruesome.
bit more democratic than Chicago, but then again, I think Prague is more.
Listen, so Hudson, we'll tell you a little bit about Chicago and thereabouts as
Yeah,
well.
hey, I'm all ears. You know what I mean?
I'm all ears. You can
Tell me
us-
about
you can tell us
Chicago,
about-
your hometown.
You can tell us about New Orleans and also Texas. Now, I was just looking at one of the Chicago papers not long ago with a bunch of rock writers' top tens, my favorite records of all time. So one of them mentioned "Hold On" by Sam and Dave, and that's very interesting that that's the way Chicagoans write these things because it's a very well. I don't want to sound like I'm really coming down on Chicago, but I mean, like Fanny Hill is probably still banned there. I mean, people were getting arrested for it. I know in the '70s for selling, allegedly pornographic books and stuff. And then, of course, Lenny Bruce died because of being kicked out of the Gator Horn in Chicago. I mean, that was really it wasn't directly connected, but that was his last big gig. And they closed the nightclub down after his gig because of the trouble. Consequently, nightclub owners were not happy to book him in if their clubs are going to get closed down, So similarly, now you may not know this, the reason that the Shadows of Night had Gloria and had a hit with it was that in them's version of Shadows of the Night, it says of Gloria, it says she comes up to my room, she makes me feel all right. Well, they wouldn't play that in Chicago, so some Chicago bands said, quick, I'll make a record, and we won't make her come into my room. And there it is, and there's the competing version from America.
You're talking about my favorite band, the one I saw every Friday and Saturday night of my senior year in high school. They played in a basement church in Arlington Heights. George, you ever got to the cellar?
Them played in Chicago?
No, Shadows of Night.
Shadows of
And
Night.
they did a long version. We're talking 11, 12 minutes where they really stretched out Gloria.
What was the only
And
song
this-
they had?
Wait a minute, Backdoor Man they also released. As in I'm Up.
And that did get played? I mean, they did another version of that? What else?
Sure.
That's only
sure.
because it was local.
Yeah. No, it was a local band, and we loved them for that
It was
reason.
a local
But they
record,
opened for the
so-
Byrds. It was quite an exciting summer,
Yes,
that summer
right.
of '65.
Well, similarly, the song "Hold On, I'm Coming" certainly never got on the airwaves there. And a local band did "Hold On, Don't You Worry," but it never made it. And even to this day, when they printed the name of "Hold On, I'm Coming" in the Chicago paper, it just said "Hold On," because they didn't want to put
Wait
the
a
whole
minute.
name.
Wait, we heard it on the
You
air.
mean that's sexual?
Mhm.
Hold on, I'm coming.
Mhm. Oh, I see. I'm
I
sorry,
didn't know that,
didn't
really.
wanna
I
tell you
never
about
made
that.
that connection.
Which
Which
is
is,
like I'm coming to
Listen
rescue
the
you.
Sam and Morty version, not the Sam and Dave version.
I just, hold on, I'm coming. I mean, what?
I'll be here in a few minutes, right?
I don't know.
I'll be there, honey. I'm late. There's traffic and stuff.
Who really listens to lyrics anyway?
I don't know.
Not me.
The Washington Wives.
No, I tried to.
Listen,
but
Little
I
Richard had
don't
lyrics.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. I want to know who translated these. Richard didn't translate these lyrics.
I was too busy.
It is a translation.
Well, listen, we can have a whole half hour on how do you say a wop bop a loom a bop bam boom, because this is a bop bop a loom op a lop bop bop boom. Now that's not right.
That's not right.
That's not right.
See, obviously.
Who is it?
We still love Little Richard. We're
Yeah,
not
we like Little
defaming
Richard,
him.
but,
No, it's
Russian, isn't it?
it's his translators that we.
Now, here in LA, we have the LA Times as one of the three major papers in the city. But the LA Times, oddly enough, maintains a Chicago bureau. Did you find that odd? I mean, is Chicago that interesting that Larry Green from Chicago is reporting on new machinations of the Chicago City Council so that the citizens of LA can know more and more about what's going on in Chicago.
Well, I've been here 8 years, and up until now, Richard Alatorre has been the only story about local politics. In Chicago, every day something interesting is going on in politics. It is that interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be the only place, the only city that has interesting local politics. I don't know why.
And
Except for Detroit.
New Orleans does.
Detroit has good
Oh,
local
no.
politics?
Places where graft is like really, you know, an institution.
What about Philadelphia?
Yeah.
We can't hear you too well.
Well, the Attorney General went to Harlem to buy crack. In disguise, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You know who would have worked in Chicago? Art Snyder would have been a city councilman in Chicago, an alderman.
I can see that.
Oh, by the way, did you see the Pfeiffer cartoon where he said that if Joe McCarthy was alive today, he'd be on the Supreme Court? That's kind of neat.
When Pfeiffer came out and said he was a relative of Roy Cohn.
Yeah.
A little late.
Same article.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
He claims to be a cousin.
He is. It's his cousin.
in the Illinois politics, one memorable one I remember was in the 60s when you got your driver's license. It had the Secretary of State's name on it. His name was Paul Powell. You made out your checks to Paul Powell for your driver's license. When he died, he was like, $4 or $5 million under his bed in cash,
Yeah.
Shoeboxes.
He took all the checks and cashed them.
Well, we can't prove he took them. They were just being stored there in the
Oh, I
closet.
see. I see. In the those were state.
But a Chicago politician is wonderful. He'll look you in the eye and he'll say, "That's not graft. That's not illegal." Yet we all know it. I mean, you can trust a Chicago politician because you know he's on the take. Here in LA, you don't know. He may be honest. And how do you trust an honest guy?
You got a point there.
So when the building inspector comes around here, it's very tense because where I come from, New Orleans, or where you come from, Chicago, you go, yeah, I know the toilet's backed up, but how much is it going to cost me? Huh? How much? I haven't got time. How much is this going to cost? $300? Good. Can I give it to you in cash? Will that upset you? And they go, no. Here the guy comes and you have to stand around for days. You have to take meetings. And then finally you have to pay, you write a check to somebody like March Fong, you or something. I don't understand it here at
That's my
all.
alma mater, by the way.
March Fong, you?
Where did you go to school, Eric?
Went to a private school up north of Chicago called Lake Forest, or Lake Forest, the Easterners would say.
Forest?
A Lake Forest College, yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Widmark's is one of my alums, yeah.
Did you study under a Whitmark scholarship?
And Alan Carr.
Madigan scholarship?
There is a Madigan scholarship. No, Alan Carr has donated
the
a
music
beautiful new theater building.
Caftans.
Yeah, caftans for everybody. We don't wear a cap and gown anymore. Caftan at graduation.
Actually, now, George, you're a Second City vet.
So's Eric.
Oh, really?
That's where we met.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, no kidding. So this is
June 12th, 1974, if I may be exact.
just a roundabout figure.
Sounds good to me.
So you were there after the Saturday Night People all left.
We
No,
were there-
Saturday Night Live went on the next fall of 74, fall of
Yeah, but
75.
we weren't in the resident company. We were just,
Yeah, we were.
butzes,
Was John Candy still in 75?
No,
in Toronto.
everyone famous had just left.
Well, Candy was there summer of 74. Remember, the Canadians had come down. Gilda and Danny and Eugene and that company, Catherine.
Rosemary Radcliffe. And
Great
Catherine,
show,
yeah.
great show. But we started in 74. The last famous guy there was, Betty Thomas was just finishing her career.
Broadway Betty.
Her career's
Yeah.
not finished yet.
No, finishing her second city career.
Oh, I see.
Betty was in the paper this morning giving somebody a check right there on the click page. I saw it.
Yep.
Paul
Doing
Powell?
AIDS Project. AIDS Project LA.
Why don't you introduce your guests, Art?
Yeah, I think so. These guests off to the side. Yeah, Todd Everett and Elvis Mitchell are here shouting out encouragement. Wait, so you guys did this improv junk, right, with the Second City people, right? I mean, the reason I say that is, now I went to those once in a while. Now, you can fill me in, am I right on this? It always seemed to me when they took requests, like, give me a topic, and they said, Mayor Daley, we'll take that one. My feeling has always been that they listen until they hear like 5 suggestions that they already have routines for, right? And like, oh yeah, plumbing, yeah, we got one for that. Yeah, that's a good one. You hear like people saying, whatever's in the news that day, but they don't take that because they don't have a routine worked up. Did it often work that way? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say maybe one scene in a say a 45-minute improvisational set. I'd say maybe one scene would be a pure improvisation taken directly off the suggestion page, and the others would
Maybe
be
one.
the others would be in various stages of incubation along the line to being a set scene.
Huh. Well, I was right then.
I mean, I would say that's true as you're preparing for a show.
Yeah.
When a show opened, we would do complete improv.
Two maybe.
2 maybe. I mean, I don't want to be holy about this thing, you know, because Viola Spolin's probably watching. She's lady invented improvisation. Yeah, but what you do is you'd have a nugget of idea. George would say he'd read something in the paper that day, and we'd want to do something on it. So what you would do is you would find a topic that maybe could shoehorn into it. So you'd still be improvising, but you'd be working on wherever that original premise was.
Yeah, like you can't just look at a piece of paper and see like diaphragms or something and get like really inspired. You know?
Somebody had a toast and you walked into your plumbing routine.
There must have been some real stretches, though, when you're doing that. I mean,
yeah.
So where you wanted to use a set piece, and they would keep going, diaphragms, no kind, you'd go, right, sinks. I mean, there must be some...
Well, the word set piece doesn't mean it's scripted. I mean, you've got your beginning, middle, and end worked out possibly. But we did enough bad ones that failed miserably.
Eric and I were booed off the stage together once.
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That was a mortifying experience.
Oh.
But one I would recommend to just about everybody in the business.
We don't have an audience. We would have that here quite a bit.
Yes.
Actually. We're getting some booing tracks right now.
No, it was just real humiliation. And it gives you real perspective on your career, too.
You know who I saw die a lot, who I'd like to get on the show, is Ed Begley Jr.
Oh,
he used
Ed
to
used
open
to
for rock
die.
acts at the Troubadour a lot.
And he would do, when Ed did he'd do the policeman, the stoned policeman, which he kept going for forever. And he had Ed was great because he'd have a LAPD cap and everything, and he'd stand up, he would do this. And he was playing a stoned cop, and people were so stoned at the Troubadour watching him, they go, oh man, there's a cop on the stage. And Ed never knew he was bumming everybody out real bad. Like Cheech and Chong, they could play cops, but they were still dressed in this kind of hippie garb. But Ed had a costume, and he'd walk out and there'd be stone silence, and people would leave, then they would yell at him, and then finally throw stuff at him.
But Ed
Oh,
can
we
do
had
this
stuff
show,
thrown.
He does everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, he'll do that.
That's Chuck Woolery.
I know. He's done this.
Well, we were on stage one night. We used to do a routine about Christmas, the original birth of Christ, with Mary informing Joseph she's pregnant. And it was a funny piece. But one night we had glasses thrown at us because,
Is it irreverent?
heretic. People yelled out, Judas.
Well, our thing was when we got booed off the stage. Were you? No, man, it wasn't you. No, it was Campman and DePolo and me and Annie Ryerson. Got booed off the
Miss
stage.
Pregnant America?
No, it was nuns and priests.
Oh,
Having a little fun.
You get a lot of letters with this. I noticed that the glasses and the letters come from the...
Yeah.
Religion's the one topic that is still sacrosanct. Boy, they get very upset about that.
One of the interesting deaths I saw on stage was in Chicago.
Yeah, I know.
In Chicago at Mr. Kelly's. I saw Richard Pryor die opening for Kenny Rogers in the first edition. I mean, just stood up there, told one joke after another, nobody laughed. It was really rough. I think I've heard him refer to that particular...
Which prior phase was it? Was it before or after he found himself, sort of?
I don't know. It would have been 1968.
It was
That
Mr.
was
Kelly,
funny
yeah.
as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, it was funny, but people were like, it was like grip your seat time. It was really rough. Did you go to college
Yeah.
in Chicago?
No, kind of.
Yeah.
Went to Notre Dame for 3 years.
Yeah.
Got booted out of there.
On South Bend?
Here, yeah.
Booted off stage.
Would they make this
Booted
earlier
off
than
stage,
that?
kicked out of
Booted?
Notre Dame. Yeah. And then I actually did finish college. I took my degree in economics from Rockhurst College in Kansas City, Missouri.
The only place that would take you, or what is this place?
Well, yeah. We knew the admissions counselor. He's a priest.
That's
He
the
was
way
a
the
friend of our
Chicago system
family.
works.
Wow.
We knew
Yeah.
him, and it worked
Yeah.
out.
Father Carey.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
went to Wright Junior College in Chicago for a little while, and
You know the admissions counselor?
no, but that was kind of rough because the first semester English was like how to divide words into syllables and stuff. It was so I pondered that for a while, and I was able to get through and get some pretty decent grade average. Prior to that, I had been one of the last classes at the University of Chicago at Navy Pier. Now, you don't know about this, but this was 2 piers jutting out a mile into the lake, one of which was trucks unloading boats from Sweden. The other was like school with pipes running overhead and green walls. And if you had to go from one class to another, it was literally a mile for your 5 minutes. And it was a pretty depressing kind of thing. I mean, Chicago's not the cheeriest place to
That wasn't
begin
University
with.
of Chicago, it was UI.
University of Illinois.
Oh, right.
At Navy Pier. It was
University of
really
Chicago.
gruesome.
You get letters, man. Some angry Maroons out there.
That sounds real
Maroons?
strange
Is
to
that like
me.
University of Chicago, Maroons.
Maroons. Oh.
Well, they're a feisty bunch, those Maroons.
That's how you pronounce it.
I never know. So, Eric, where are we seeing you these days? Which TV shows?
Well, I've just completed a pilot for a new show for a major network. that starts with a vowel, and
HBO?
not to be close. And we're waiting to hear the results. There are ladies somewhere in a focus group in America who are watching me on camera right now and saying, would I sleep with him, would I not? And they're depending on. Have you ever gone to a preview house, one of those things?
No, I never
mean,
have.
Our lives in television determined, as
There
well
is
George
electrodes
knows.
on, right? Like,
Yeah, over there on Sunset, preview house.
They have a dial that they hold in their hand that's wired to the chair, and if you're interested at that moment, you turn it to the right. If you're bored, you turn it to the left. And so up there in a room someplace, it's being graphed how the show is being loved at that moment, and they can tell instantly if the show's going to work or not.
And it's
They
just
show a Mr. Magoo cartoon before that, again, it's supposed to be guaranteed to make people.
Yeah, it's a classic Mr. Magoo cartoon. They use that
Use the word
to,
classic to describe Mr. Magoo.
but it's a way of, that's how they test. That's television.
That preview house is run by Chicagoans, though. You can, I think you.
Valley.
Oh yeah, Chicago's also the town where they make pinball machines and slot. Well, nobody has slot machines, but they make pinball machines.
I have a slot machine.
And well,
Not at home.
well, there was a Royco
In the
column.
car,
There was
next to your
a-
phone.
There was a Royco column about that, about how some woman was, assaulted or something in her home, and then the police came over and saw a slot machine there and arrested her.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
They took it home.
Yeah.
Right?
Royco's
Fought over
hands,
it.
yeah.
Well, there are children turning in their parents right now because they have slot
Slot
machines, aren't
machines.
they? And Nancy Reagan's pleased to.
But
see
Chicago is a very moral place. That's where they made pinball machines, and they were never in any bars. In the city of Chicago, didn't have pinball machines. Does it now? I mean, it didn't.
do
up until-
suburbs to play.
Suburbs did. That's all. I mean, they wouldn't allow anything that might have gambling. Would take away from the city revenue of gambling, which is the, I guess it's the official police income. I'm not sure. Did
Well,
you
they do have gambling. It's called casino nights. Your parish.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
When they have bingo nights and gambling nights.
Actually, did you see the Royco about 2 weeks ago when it said the woman hired some hitman to kill her husband, and she had inherited $750,000 from her father, a Chicago policeman who had invested well.
Well, they're
What a
paid.
time! So you went to the Sox games. That's all you went to. You never went to Wrigley Field.
No.
Like just those people on the north side, you just
Yeah,
didn't care.
no, it's too
Ivy.
far. Comiskey Park was, pretty quick bus ride down Western Avenue, 35th.
You know
down
why I didn't like
35th.
the Cubs? Because Minnie Minoso couldn't speak English. There was this Cuban
Well,
guy.
that's
and
a
he would
reason
always,
for-
he'd always say, yeah, he wasn't Swedish, but he would just nod. He wouldn't say anything.
He
couldn't
could speak English. Remember, his fielding style was he'd always go against the wall, and at least 3 or 4 times a season would bang his head hard against the wall.
That's
So
all.
he lost the ability to speak English.
He led the major leagues in being hit by pitches forever.
Really?
Yeah, Minnie.
He
might
would
even be a
stick his
career
head out
guy.
there.
I don't know.
And then, of course, it wasn't all that exciting of a team, anyways. I mean, Sherm Lawler. I mean,
Yeah, but when the Yankees were in town, they always used to finish about a game behind the Yankees during all the Mickey Mantle business.
Oh, by the way,
Yogi
we're
Berra.
talking about the 50s in Chicago. It was so unusual for Chicago to win a pennant in 1959 that White Sox did. And for laughs, the entire city set off the air raid.
Yes.
And people had heart attacks, and thousands of people got in their cars and headed for Wisconsin. Because it was like, serious, it's 1959, bomb
Yeah.
shelters, and the Sox won the pennant, and people don't care.
Well, I love the way towns celebrate. When the Steelers won the first time, Pittsburgh turned over 6 or 7 cop cars and set them on fire. What better way to celebrate a victory?
But the Sox and the Cubs are now laboring under the curse of Mr. Wendt.
No, I didn't know
Yes,
that.
and there'll never be a World Series in Chicago. They've had some division championships, but never a World Series. Because in 1959,
Yeah.
my dad got tickets to the opener of the World Series against the Dodgers.
Oh.
And he wanted me to be pulled out of school at lunchtime. And Sister Suzanne said no. I could not leave school at lunchtime to go to the World Series with my dad. So my dad pulled me out anyway. And I go, what cheek, And I was like, Dad, wow, I'm really amazed. Why did you do this? And he said, son, I had to because there may never be another World Series in Chicago. And to this date, there hasn't, so.
Yeah.
His sister Susanna kept you in, the fortunes.
But that's funny, though. Is that like that now? I mean, is baseball as important as it was? Because I know in the 50s when there'd be the regular World Series, the Dodgers against the Yankees, we in school would sit in front of a TV set all day
Yeah.
and watch it,
Yeah.
like it was something educational and good for you.
You're like, you cared, right?
No, I did. I did that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When did they all stop wearing hats to World Series? That's what I want to know.
When
Remember
they
those-
stop or stop?
Yeah, stop. Remember all the films of old World Series and stuff? They're all like guys who wearing hats. What was that? When did that stop? I mean, that was not in my consciousness at all.
50s, most probably, early 50s.
Just pre-Beatles, we stopped wearing hats.
I'm still holding it against that 5th grade teacher who wouldn't let us watch. We were punished. We were noisy, so we didn't get to watch. What's his name? Pitch the perfect game. Now, what was
Don
that?
Larson.
Don
Larson.
Larson. Yeah.
Well, where I grew up in New Orleans, there wasn't a baseball team. The last baseball team there was a minor league team coached by a guy named, managed by a guy named Peanuts Lowry, and it was the New Orleans Pelicans, who never won a game. I mean, they never won a game, and when they won a game, no one believed it, and they wouldn't even print it. It was one of those kind of deals. But I mean, you can still find drunks in any bar in New Orleans. I mean, wall to wall that will talk about the Pelicans. No, they'll never have major league ball there. Nothing works in New Orleans. It all fails. So the Pelicans. Humidity, and something about the alcohol. And they built a hotel on Pelican Stadium, and there's still drunks hanging around the bar across the street, which has the home plate in it. And that's been since '53 or something like that, but it's still alive there. So people are still doing that. All the Pelican fans became Yankees fans for some reason. I don't know why. And it was a big deal then. Everybody had to watch TV.
So there was a national team for Narlands because San Francisco had the Dodgers, right? I mean, San Francisco had
the
Joe
Giants.
DiMaggio,
Oh,
had
no,
the Yankees because of
yeah.
Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
So New Orleans didn't have any players even that came from there.
Oh, Mel Ott.
Yeah.
Mel Ott. See, Mel was big, but that was it. There's a Mel Ott Park. I mean, that's why I know about Mel Ott.
Was his the shortest name in Major League history? Can anybody
That
beat
was
6
it.
letters? I don't think so.
I think you think of that midget that Bill Beck hired to come up for the Phillies or something.
Eddie
like that.
somebody.
Yeah. That was the shortest.
Inspiration.
shortest. Yeah.
Draw a walk. Seriously. Oh, man.
All right. So
Have we ever run out of things to say completely on the show?
frequently,
Yeah.
a lot of times. I'm going to read for a while. You
He's just gonna
take up.
read.
Were you there in '68 for the Democratic Convention?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to summer school. I had not successfully passed biology in college. And so that very day we were headed downtown. Sly Stone concert was going on. Supposedly, that was the one that Sly didn't show at. We got downtown.
One, that's the one he didn't show at, yeah.
That was the one.
Yeah.
We got downtown and we were stopped at Evanston. They would not
That's
listen.
pretty
The
far.
riots were going on. That's what, 15 miles, I would
Yeah.
guess. And we were stopped. They had blocked off Lakeshore Drive, and we could not get downtown.
Wow.
We wanted to see the riots. We were
Yeah,
watching them
right.
in our dorm rooms during summer school, and felt compelled because we were young and with it to be down there supporting our friends. But
Wanted to throw some shit on a cop.
I wanted to put a flower in the gun barrel. That's what I really wanted.
Well, George, where were you during
I was
the
in the
riot?
hospital.
Oh, yeah?
You know, I was having my appendix out. Honest to God.
Good excuse to
Yeah.
stop at Evanston, and
TV.
I was in the
So
hospital.
is that
Yeah.
like those soldiers that shoot themselves in the foot? That
Yeah, right. No, I
Self-inflicted?
watched it. That was really.
It was a pretty gruesome
It was
time.
shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, even my parents even turned around. They kept going, this actually, they're doing this to these people.
Yeah. I could smell the tear gas from. I was at Little Company Mary Hospital on 95th Street. I could smell the tear
Wow.
gas. Yeah.
Now, what was that movie, Point? No, it wasn't. It was shot during and around.
Medium cool.
Medium cool.
Haskell Wexler.
Boy, that was. I mean, wasn't that? I don't think it was
Don't
that
play
great.
trivia with this crowd.
I don't think it was that great a movie necessarily, but that was the only thing I ever saw. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it actually took place during historical things. I mean, there's a clubbings going on at the Shell
They
at
actually
Grand
shoot it
Park.
then, or they
and yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
girl in a yellow
Yeah.
dress. They said, okay, now run through here. And Haskell Wexler is shooting her while they're actually doing pictures you see in the paper later of people actually getting clobbered. It was an amazing thing. I haven't seen it. I'm surprised that Z hasn't run it, because that's the kind of thing that they would run.
It was reported, it's interesting, the Chicago papers did not make the big issue of the riots as much as the national press did. It was when the national press started really coming down hard that Chicago started re-evaluating it. But, you know, if you've ever met a Chicago cop, it's not like an LA cop. They all look like game show hosts out here, I think. You know, they're all young and trim and with mustaches. But a Chicago cop has a swagger and a look in his eyes, right, George? Oh.
Yeah.
And you don't mess with them. And they were out for blood. They wanted to hit somebody.
And they did. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you again. So you never got hit in your life, right? I mean,
Well,
did
by a
you get
Chicago cop,
pinched? I
but
mean, did you get
slapped
Did
once.
you get arrested?
Slapped
Did you
real
get
hard.
arrested much, Eric? It doesn't matter. A lot of time has passed now. Did you get picked
Well, I have
up
a morals
for
clause in my
drinking,
contract.
drinking
No,
on the beach or anything like that?
I have done that,
Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah, I got pinched somewhere up the North Shore.
You get pinched on the beach.
I wasn't drinking. I just found a bottle.
Spent a night
I
in
was
jail.
sleeping on the side.
She loves to watch. She loves to watch. She loves to watch. As the house plays havoc, little girls' hearts watch.